to the Books for Congress magazine, where we talk all things books and Congress. We usually start this program off talking about the book we read this week, and the second part we give a brief update regarding what things going on in the U.S. Congress. And this week's book is Nelson Rockefeller's Dilemma: The Fight to Save Moderate Republicanism by Marcia Barrett. And this book we received an advance review copy from the Cornell University Press, and we'd like to thank them for that. Now, this book describes the political career of Nelson Rockefeller, who was governor of New York and also had some unsuccessful bids for the presidency, but ultimately did end up serving as vice president in post-World War II America. And the book describes his efforts to embrace certain parts of liberal ideals in order to broaden his coalition in his bid for the governorship and the presidency. And he did this to the dismay of some of the more conservative members of the Republican Party. And while he ultimately had a successful terms as governor of New York, the Republican Party really never embraced some of his policy positions. And some of those positions that he embraced included things like supporting government spending, robust social welfare programs, and civil rights laws. And so, despite this fact, he did maintain his membership in the Republican Party, but those ideals were never fully embraced across the board. There still remained a largely a more conservative faction of the party. But this book is a great history of the Republican Party, specifically in New York and nationally post-World War II, at a time when there was significant racial tension. And it kind of looks at the party in New York and nationally through the lens of the implementation and of these civil rights laws. So we highly recommend this book for anyone who's trying to understand the evolution of the Republican Party during this time period. Again, that's Nelson Rockefeller's Dilemma: The Fight to Save Moderate Republicanism by Marcia Barrett, and published by Cornell University Press. Now, in terms of the U.S. Congress, the leadership has been set in both the House and Senate. Speaker of the House for the 118th Congress, Mike Johnson, will be continuing in this role in the 119th Congress. Senator John Thune was selected as the Senate Majority Leader, and President-elect Donald Trump has already begun selecting members of his cabinet, and Senator Majority Leader Thune has indicated that they will be moving quickly to ensure those cabinet officials get a hearing in the coming weeks, so that when President-elect Trump is sworn in January, they'll be ready to be sworn in as well. Now, we also had the opportunity to view a really interesting hearing by the House Committee on Oversight entitled Preparing for the Next Pandemic, Lessons Learned and the Path Forward. And we think this is going to be, it was one of the last hearings of the Select Committee on the COVID pandemic, and it really was illustrative of some of the issues the new administration is going to face when it comes to implementing their policies. There were concerns raised by members of Congress regarding officials in the Department of Health and Human Services who were found to have violated certain protocols and were still not terminated from their employment. And the government officials who appeared really were not able to explain why they were having such a difficult time holding these individuals accountable and terminating their employment. But it was an excellent example of how difficult it's going to be for the administration and their new Department of Government Efficiency to come in and remove the number of federal employees that they would like to. Another issue that members of Congress raised that was a bit of a bipartisan concern was related to the rise of vaccine hesitancy and if that might create some kind of public health issues in the future. And President-elect Donald Trump has already indicated that he would appoint as Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's been a vocal critic of vaccines. And on a bipartisan basis, members were a little bit concerned about how that might impact the ability, the rates at which U.S. citizens take the required vaccines now, and how the CDC would be able to roll out any new vaccines in the case of another pandemic. And they really encouraged the agency to think about that and begin to plan for that because it's going to be a growing issue. That's all we have for you today. We hope you found this brief update informative and look forward to speaking with you next week as the Congress continues to move at a lightning speed along with the incoming administration to begin this transition to a new government in the 119th Congress. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.